Hello, this is Pastor French bidding you welcome to another segment of Daily Bread. I want to continue on the subject of truth as Jesus declared himself to be. I am the way, the truth, and the life, he said, and that no one could come to the Father but through him. Most Christians think that what is meant by the statement is for us to believe on Jesus and all is well. That's partly true, but there is more to believing than just a mental assent. It's true that our first act is to believe Jesus is who he said he is, but there is more, because he also said, take his yoke and learn from him. In order to become a believer, we must accept what Jesus taught as absolute truth, the truth that has been from the beginning and continues throughout eternity. Since Adam rejected the truth of Jehovah in favor of his own, man has continually gone down that path. Man became more and more arrogant as time passed, rejecting all that Jehovah had offered. Who would think that if men knew Jehovah existed without a shadow of a doubt, they could be so arrogant as to believe they could actually fight against him and win? There is proof that they did just that as soon as the post-flood era. Nimrod set the people to build a tower which he stated would be high enough so that Jehovah could not destroy them if he chose to send another flood on the earth. This tells me Nimrod knew Jehovah existed, but was arrogant enough to think he could defeat the Lord of all the earth with a tower. When Jehovah saw what was going on, he simply confounded the languages so the people could not communicate with each other, and they left off building the tower. Paul, in his letters to the Colossians and to Timothy, warned against these attitudes of arrogance. He said to the Colossians, see to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ. That's in chapter 8, verse 2. And to Timothy he wrote, Timothy, keep safe what has been entrusted to your care. Avoid the profane talk and foolish arguments of what some people wrongly call knowledge. From his first letter, chapter 6, verse 20. Paul lived closer in respect of time to all the so-called fathers of philosophy. He was acquainted with the teachings of Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Philo, and so forth. Men who were ever learning but never able to come to know absolute truth. It has continued to this day. Men following after them, trying to make sense of existence, life, and meaning. They all have one problem in common. None of them start from a foundation of absolute truth. Therefore, they cannot arrive at an absolute conclusion. We boast at having accumulated great knowledge, but if that knowledge doesn't have a foundation of absolute truth, then it is flawed and cannot be totally trusted. Man continues to search in the darkness for answers that have always been right in front of his nose, if he would just believe. But instead, he continues his quest, refusing to rid himself of his arrogance, refusing to bow his knee to the Creator of all things. Jesus addressed this in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 23. But if your eye is evil, your whole body will be full of darkness. If the light in you is darkness, how dark it will be. The last line of the verse is very interesting. Jesus says, if the light in you is darkness. What did he mean by this? Light cannot be darkness, and also the reverse is not possible. So what is meant? I think he meant what I'm talking about, light meaning knowledge. If all a man knows is not based on absolute truth, then the knowledge is still darkness, having no life-giving power. So it really doesn't matter what we know or how much knowledge we have accumulated if it is not based in the eternal truth that Jesus shared from his Father. It falls short of being able to sustain us and does not answer the question of existence and who we are in the great plan of Jehovah. Thanks for watching, and remember, until next time, give love, give life, give Jesus.